Welcome back to Switched to Linux. This is the weekly news roundup, and this is the business section. And today we're actually featuring my other company, which is a web design company. So I always talk about A2 hosting, and that's where all my clients are at. I am actually a web developer. So if you are in need of a website and you'd like a quote, feel free to reach out to me. I do have a voicemail service over there. You can leave a message there or respond on the contact form here on my site, which is going to be westernmountainweb.com. It's westernmtnweb.com, and that will be in the description down below, and I'll also throw it in the chat for everybody watching live. But if you are in need of a website or web consultation or some small fixes on your website, I do all of that kind of stuff. Just let me know and we will get you some information. All right, so this is exciting. First on our docket for the business news, Pinterest. Pinterest is in the news. They are introducing a more compassionate search experience for people in distress. What? What is this corporate speak? Well, they want to be more compassionate for people in distress. So if you go online and search for, how do I slit my wrists? Which you shouldn't do, by the way. Instead of giving you photos, they'll give you lines to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline instead. I concur. All right. This is probably all right. All right. So basically, they have identified certain things that they have said. Of course, those aren't terms I don't think people search for on Pinterest. I don't know. But anyway, if you're feeling stressed or anxious or sad or whatever else, and their algorithm has determined that, and you put in certain things, they're going to give you things about, I guess make you run through these things first. Instead, first resources, go for deep breathing. Say slow and steady, slow and steady. Feel your lungs expand. What is this? Like the Hindu weirdo-ness? I don't know. And then they're going to give you some phone numbers to national centers, whatever else. You're like, dude, I just want to look at interesting pictures. I don't know what you guys are thinking of, but by the way, support this channel on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM, TOMM, or thinklifemedia.com. There's the links for stuff upstairs. Amazon, switchlinux.com/support, because talk about this story first. This video is demonetized. I might not even try monetizing it. I don't know. But anyway, yes, if you are struggling with any of that kind of stuff, definitely call these hotlines for sure. If I think of it, maybe I'll put a line to them down there. But basically, Pinterest is identifying that they have seen a lot of people that are searching for things that could potentially be disturbing. And because of that, they are intercepting those searches and giving you more uplifting things instead. Which honestly, I'm 50-50 on this because, hey, I might be a writer writing some weird fiction book and wanting to see things. In fact, there was that fascinating documentary out there called Terms and Conditions May Apply, which is a fascinating watch. And one of the things in there is the Yahoo data, I think it was, they used. They were very easily able to de-anonymize it and find a guy who was searching for fun terms like how to kill your wife and how to hide a body and steak and potatoes and a few other little things. And they literally find where this guy is, and the reporter knocks on his door and it's like, have you searched all these things? Oh, yeah. And it turns out he was a writer for a very popular, I forget which series it was, but it was a series I've heard of on TV. He's a writer for it. So he's sitting home doing these interesting, weird search results. If that's your job, man, I don't want to be bothered by all of these photos. But literally, if you are dealing with these types of struggles, then yeah, it's a good thing in that case, but it's kind of context dependent. I think ultimately, though, Pinterest is meddling a little too much, not just in this, but I have one attached to my other channel that I've had for a long time, and I almost deleted it a few weeks ago because they were being very prejudicial towards Christians, and that's a Christian channel, and I was like, well, if they don't really want me there, maybe I'll delete the thing. But it's like, yeah, you know what, they don't really want Christians in the world anyway, but, I'll stick there until they ban me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, what do you guys think about Pinterest doing this? I'm on the fence. What do you guys think? Let me know. What I'm not on the fence of is this one. Microsoft being absolutely moronically stupid once again with their branding. I don't know what idiots they have in their branding department, but they all need to be kicked out the door. Like, they should have fired their marketing guys well before their QA guys, all right? So, of course, Microsoft fired all their QA guys right leading into the Windows 10 debacle, which causes giant nightmare. But hey, everyone's the beta testers now. What's the difference? So one of the criticisms I've always had against Microsoft as soon as they started going to any and all cloud services is that they, what ended up happening is they would name things the exact same thing. So like you had Outlook as the program. If you've used Microsoft for the last 25, 30 years, you're very familiar. You know exactly what Outlook is. It is a giant centristic email client program for your computer to manage your emails and your contacts and your calendars and all this kind of stuff. And then what do? They come up with an application called Outlook, which is a web-based service to do emails and calendars. It's like, and it's two completely different services. And then they've literally done this for like everything. In fact, this was an early debacle on Windows. I think this has actually affected Windows 8 when they started switching to these apps. They had an app that was Internet Explorer, and they had an app or a program that was Internet Explorer. And if you're not a particularly computer savvy person, you blowed up Internet Explorer and you can't find half the functions because the app was stripped down, the program was not. But they had the same name. And Microsoft is repeatedly doing this. So what are they doing? Well, Office Online is now just being called Office. Instead of Word Online, it's just called Word. What type of morons are working over there at Microsoft? Are they just seeing how stupid they can be and not confuse their entire user base? So why are they doing this? Oh, because of course, and by the way, I have been telling you guys this for a long time, Microsoft is absolutely gearing up towards going subscription only with Office. That is their ultimate goal. They want to adopt that Adobe model. Adobe had the ability to pull it instantly like they did when they did, much to the dismay of people. Microsoft was being a little bit more cautious, but that is exactly their intention, and that's why they're doing this. So Office uses sub-brands to denote your offerings. Office 365 and Office 2019, because our offerings have evolved to provide access to apps on more than one platform, it no longer makes sense to any platform-specific sub-brands. Okay, that made no sense. Here's what they tried to say. Since you can get the application on a variety of different platforms, we're changing the name so they're the same thing on every platform. So instead of being Office for Mac and Office for Windows and Office Online, now it's just Office. Yeah, you go into your local Best Buy and you have a computer at home and you walk in, you want Word. They're going to say, are you on a Windows or Mac? I don't know. You know, there's people out there that don't know what computer they're on, right? I talk with them a lot. I have some clients that are like, what computer are you on? I don't know. What color's the mouse cursors? You know, they have different colored mouse cursors by default. No, I don't do the mouse cursor thing. You just thought of it. But, does it have a picture of an apple on it anywhere? I mean, really. Is it Windows? How do I tell? Oh, God. What version of Windows? I don't know. Can you send me a screenshot of your desktop? All right. Of course, at times we still need to make specific references to the web version of Office, so you can use the term Office for the web, which aligns with how we refer to Office on other platforms, Office for Windows, Office for Mac, Office for blah, 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 blah. However, the for the web is not a new brand or strict naming convention, so you may also use the technology on the web or on office.com or in the browser. It's important to note that this branding change only applies to the Office app, so they're not going to mess up the SharePoint Online, Project Online, Office Online Server, or Exchange Online. Those are not changing because they don't have it. Never mind. That would actually make sense, but they're not doing that. All right. So basically, they're just dropping this and making the confusion infinitely worse. So what's worse, that or this? Microsoft invests $1 billion in OpenAI to pursue the holy grail of artificial intelligence. Intriguing. All right. So with this, this is OpenAI. It's a giant. It's like a general all-purpose. If there's any one group that's going to become, I don't know, what's the best example I can think of? Maybe Vicky from iRobot, the one all-encompassing AI to control all. Maybe the Lord of the Rings AI version, one AI to control them all. That's kind of what this AI is. And Microsoft just invested $1 billion in this so that they can actually help develop the mother of all AI. Great. Once the mother of all AI is out there in the world, I think it might about be time to check out of the planet. So we are taking a few applications to join the reptilian alien race, just so you guys know. Get those applications in quickly. The next mothership landing will be right before, actually we changed the date. Because of this whole Area 51 thing, we decided we're going a couple weeks after in case we recover any of our injured friends who need to go back home to the home planet to rest up a little bit before coming back. So just be aware of that. All right. But anyway, Microsoft is investing in OpenAI to get the mother of all AI. So that's exciting. DoorDash. DoorDashing used to be a prank. Now I guess it's a delivery service. Never really heard of them, but they changed. I guess this is like an Uber Eats type model, I think, or is it an Instacart type model. Whatever it is, you can actually, it's one of these app type things, these gig economy things where you can sign up and I think it's like an Uber Eats type. So basically you go around and you drop people off, or you drop off orders or deliveries, whatever else you're doing. And so they changed their model. This was like, whatever person thought of this, they're equally stupid and genius. This is kind of like when I was teaching organic chemistry. I gave the students this research project, and one of my students actually used Cliff Notes as a reference in an organic chemistry research paper. I was telling this to my cousin. He says, using Cliff Notes in an organic chemistry paper, genius. Referencing it in the bibliography, stupidity. That's what I feel like what they did. So what they had is, you would go in and this company will promise a minimum wage, basically. And whatever that wage happens to be. I think it was like a minimum of like $6.85 per order was the guarantee. So the customer could, through the app, leave an extra tip. So what the company was doing is they were taking all of that extra tip and they were using all of those extra tips and distributing it out to the people who didn't tip or where the service did not reach this minimum threshold of $6.85. And so that the company was breaking even out of the tips that were meant to be for specific drivers. So some people, they would not get any of their tip. Some people would get a little of their tip. Almost nobody get all of their tip. All because they decided that they were going to take all of the tips and just use it as a giant pool to make sure that everyone got a, quote, livable wage. All right. So after this debacle occurred, a lot of people were complaining. So now they said, oh, well, that was a mistake. We were trying to do something somewhat logical. Not really. We were trying to save our own pockets, really. But now we're going to give 100% of the tips to the people who earn them. So what they did is they had a computation formula, critics said amounted to DoorDash pocketing drivers' tips. On Tuesday, DoorDash CEO Tony Zhu announced on Twitter that the company would change its compensation formula so that drivers' earnings will increase by the exact amount of customer tips on every order. It's clear from recent feedback we didn't strike the right balance. What right balance? You went in, bashed people over the head, and took their money. There's no balance in that at all. He insists that they never intended to take the driver's tips. No, they never intended to get caught taking the driver's tips. Rather, he said the goal was to protect drivers from low earnings in cases where a customer failed to tip. Again, this makes no sense. You can tell a PR person's talking because the blabber is coming out. Words are coming out, but they don't make comprehensive sentences. If the driver's total pay for a job, DoorDash base pay rate plus any customer tip fell below a DoorDash determined minimum, DoorDash would make up the difference. Actually, the customer tips would make up the difference, but that's another story. Of course, this is mathematically equivalent to a system where DoorDash simply pays every worker a standard rate, but confiscates the first few dollars of every tip. So for the first order, the guarantee was $6.85, and the customer, the woman of Boream Hill, who answered the door in a colorful bathrobe, tipped $3 via the app, but I still received only $6.85. If the woman in the bathrobe had tipped $0, DoorDash would have paid me the whole $6.85. Because she tipped $3, DoorDash kicked in only $3.85. She was saving DoorDash $3, not tipping me. So they say they're going to revamp its pay system to ensure that every dollar of a tip goes to the drivers. We'll have specific details in the coming days. Yeah, I hope you do. All right, on to the balderdash of the day. Oh, Lord. From Bloomberg. So, of course, President Trump has been doing all these things with all these tariffs and saying, hey, we're going to jack up tariffs and prices. And the purpose of jacking up these tariffs and prices, the specific purpose here is to make sure that it's more expensive to go make stuff in China and ship it back here than it is to hire American workers. That's the purpose. It's to stimulate the job economy here. So Apple had a manufacturing plant in Texas that was in full operation. They closed the plant, shipped all of the work to China, and then has the audacity. I mean, this takes gonads. The audacity to say, hey, President Trump, hey, Prez, we're tight, right? We need an exclusion for the tariffs we're sending to China. I mean, come on. This is going to hurt our bottom line. So they closed a factory that was in full swing in Texas, moved all the manufacturing overseas to China, and then has the audacity to ask the government for an exclusion for the tariffs. So they asked the Trump administration to exclude components made from the forthcoming Mac Pro. This is the Mac Pro that if you deck it out costs more than a car. This is like a $35,000 computer if you deck it out. I think the base model's like maybe $8,000. I forget. What's the base model? Anybody know off the top? But they're asking for exclusion to ship the computer components weeks after planning to relocate the production of the line to China from Texas. California-based tech giant is seeking relief from the duties of 25% key Mac Pro parts and accessories that go with it, ranging from the stainless steel and aluminum frame, power supplies, internal cables and circuit boards, and the optional wheels. According to the filings posted, U.S. Trade Representative, the documents don't specifically mention Mac Pro, but the features and dimensions resemble that planned computer. Now, there were some exclusions that are allowed. Does this have the exclusion list? Oh, bummer. This article does not have the exclusion list. So the exclusion list included things like fewer resources were needed. Like if all of the resources were mined in China, you could get them made and manufactured in China. If there's something that the Chinese factory could do that an American factory couldn't do, or if it would seriously hurt the economy. The thing is that Apple says this seriously hurts our economy, our personal economy. I mean, shipping this over there, this hurts our bottom line. That's really what their problem is. Because I don't even know. I'm not going to wager it because. This is just absolute insanity. Now, for all you guys that are complete anti-Trump guys, just take a couple deep breaths. Trump said no. You're closing down a Texas factory to move it to China. You ain't getting an exclusion. You've already demonstrated it can be manufactured here. He says, keep the jobs in America. You don't get an exclusion. Way to go, Trump. All right. Let me know what you think of all that in the comments down below.